everywhere out there in internet land. My name is Tony Taylor. This is all about me, motivation, innovation, and inspiration, and today we are celebrating. But what exactly are we celebrating? Now, if you're a frequent viewer of mine, you know that in my last video titled The End, which talked about the end of yourself, the end of ourselves and living for God. He must increase and we must decrease. You remember that now? Okay. At the end of that video, I alluded that my next video, which would be this month, would be a continuation of a previous video I did last year in July called Lost and Found. Now, with that video message, last July, it was all about 2 choices, 2 years, and 1 love. The 2 choices were, I took a leap of faith as I was pursuing to be the next big Hollywood star in Los Angeles, California, to move back here to Minnesota. And the second choice was following God's lead and to get baptized a year to the day of my return from California. And that was truly just when I completely surrendered to God. If you're new to these videos, you should know that these are very Christ-centered. They're very spiritual-based. A lot of God talk, Jesus talk. If you don't like that, then it is what it is. But that's what I do. That's what I speak of. Anyway, so my message with that was, those were 2 big choices I made to finally just turn it all over and trust God in whatever He had planned for me. I think the message I said at the end of that was, things didn't go the way I had planned, but it went exactly the way God had planned. And I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. And now I'm giving you part 2, which is allowing you to see what's happening for me in this next year, this whole year, since that last video has been done, what's been happening. And let me tell you, there's been a lot that's been going on. It would probably take me a while to explain them all, but I'll just say this. I'm celebrating today, and a lot of you that are watching know why I'm celebrating. It's because today I am putting in my 2-week notice. And, oh, wait, time out. I should probably, well, before I get ahead of myself, I should probably explain a little bit more about a 2-week notice, because you're probably thinking, oh wow, you're going to announce your 2-week notice for your job online? That's kind of goofy. But I've seen a lot crazier things online. I think we all have, right? Right. Anyway, but no, sorry. It's nothing to do with my job. So if any of my coworkers are watching this, I'm not quitting. Sorry, that's not going to happen. It's my 2-week notice that in 2 weeks will be the biggest day of my life. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be walking down the aisle at my church, and I get to marry my best friend, my soulmate, the peanut butter to my jelly, or vice versa, the salt to my pepper. She's my better half. I get to marry my beautiful bride-to-be, Gina. Oh, you really think I could convince her to be on camera for one of these videos? Let's not get ahead of herself. So I'm not gonna lie, she is a little camera shy. Anytime she sees the red light on my camera, she kind of runs away. She doesn't like when I record, and that's understandable. That's okay. I'll leave it to me to be a goofball in front of the camera and just gloat about her. But I could go on and on about how great she is and how great our relationship is and all this other stuff and how we came to be and how I proposed and all that other stuff, but then this video would be all about me. Oh, that's weird. You see what I did there? It could be all about me, but when I talk about all about me in my other videos, it's not all about me. It's about motivate. You know the drill. But seriously, she is absolutely amazing. She reflects Christ's love like no other. And she makes me want to be better. She encourages me to be stronger. She inspires me. She truly is a blessing that only God could have written this love story. I couldn't have scripted it any other way. No Hollywood script that I could have written or been part of in LA would have scripted it any better. God can only write that story. And it's just truly amazing to me what God has done in this last year. In the last 3 years total now that I've been back from Los Angeles. But I'm actually going to switch gears today. I know I usually tell a little bit about me, and then a little bit about motivation, innovation, inspiration come in there, and then a little bit of goofy banter and all those things come into play. Sure. And I love those. But today I'm going to actually talk to you about a friend of mine. You see, Facebook to a lot of people is drama. Dirty laundry, it's this, it's, oh, this so-and-so and subtweeting or sub-posting, and it's about somebody, but I'm not going to mention your name. I'm going to hide behind my keyboard kind of thing. But for me, I use Facebook as my platform to get these messages out, whether it's my video message, whether it's my statuses from a good message I heard in church, or it's a good devotional that I've read. So many different things to get positive messages out there, hence the motivation, innovation, inspiration. That's where it all grew from. It grew from me looking at Facebook and being disgusted with how much negativity was on it. But one thing that I love about Facebook is the reconnection with people that from your past, whether it's your friends from elementary school, middle school, high school that you lost contact with, family members that you don't see as often. There's a lot of different reasons why I actually like it, and that's one of them. And a friend of mine who no longer lives in the state, who I grew up with in elementary school, he actually lived up at the corner from me at my parents' first house. And I'd go over there and we'd play. I think he was the first friend of mine that I know that had Sega CD. You remember Sega CD? Or Sega Saturn. He's going to have to remind me because I know he's watching this. He had that, and I was such a pesky little sinner then. I mean, I'd sneak over there, or I wouldn't sneak over there. My parents okayed me to go over there. But I'd go over there and we'd watch R-rated movies. I remember watching the original Judge Dredd over there with Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, oops, confession. And I'd go over there and I'd play Mortal Kombat, and I wasn't supposed to. I mean, there's a lot of things that I, would do. I was a pesky, I don't know how old I was then, 9 maybe? But it is what it is. But he's a great guy, and I remember the one thing that I remember the most, which is really a great story. He went to the Pro Bowl, the NFL's All-Star game, a couple years, and I remember thinking, oh, I want to go, and I thought it'd be just as easy as asking, could I go over to his house if I told my parents, hey, can I go to Hawaii with him? Him and his mom are going for the Pro Bowl, can I go? That didn't fly too well. But, in hindsight, I was a little bit jealous back then, and, that he got to go to the Pro Bowl because I was a big football fan, and he got to go and stuff like that. He showed me his jersey and stuff like that, rubbing it in my face. But it was all cool. In high school, we'd still, socialize or whatever, but we just definitely weren't as close of friends as we were in elementary school. But I totally loved those days from elementary school, man. Those were awesome. But the thing about Facebook is he's messaged me a couple times, but this most recent time on Wednesday was set me on fire for getting a message out. And he basically, over time, we've talked about how our faith has grown and different things that we've been through. And he just messaged me because he's been seeing in my newsfeed that things are going well for me because of me being engaged and all this other stuff. I'm posting a lot of positive things, so he just was checking on that, and he told me some stuff. And basically, he just told me a little bit of a testimony over his last year, how things have changed for him in his faith and stuff like that. And when I asked him, I said, hey man, could you send me a little bit more detail? I'd love to hear more about it. And he emailed me, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it right now. I've read it 3 times, skimmed through it plenty of times, and I can't tell you how great of a story this is. So we're going to switch gears. I'm going to read this entire email to you because I feel that someone out there might be faced with the same troubles he was faced with. This is a story of redemption. This is a story of God's grace. This is not something just miraculous that he did on his own or was redeemed on his own. This is God's in the business of changing lives and redeeming lives and transforming hearts. And just bear with me on this email because this is the first time I've read it out loud to a camera. So I may get a little choked up or something because to know that my friend has gone through these hard times, but to know that his best friend being God, which is the best friend you can possibly have, the only relationship that matters the most is that relationship with him. It gives me chills, and I hope this reaches people. He told me when he gave me permission to read this email that he hopes that it reaches someone because he knows he didn't go through all of this just to keep it to himself. He wants this story to be shared. So, with that said, this is going to have a lot of dark content. and a lot of very tough things that not what I'm not used to talking about. I'm not used to reading. I'm used to having fun and laughing, which you all know. But this, you'll want to hear this. I struggled with alcohol since I was 17. Partied a lot. Got into trouble. Got arrested. Even got arrested on our senior night prom. I had no idea, by the way. Just so you know, I had no idea that happened. But he never faced any criminal charges, just a handful of minor consumptions. He ended up doing community service and had probation for a year. Alcohol, since I pretty much started drinking, took control. After high school, I enrolled into NTI, NASCAR Technical Institute. Had a scholarship from Volvo. I was even told by the IndyCar driver Helio Castroneves, race engineer, who was my brother's neighbor, that I had a job waiting for me once I had finished in 1.5 years. So I was all enrolled, signed the papers, and all I had to do was show up. But I pulled up. I decided not to go. I decided that partying and drinking came first in my life. I couldn't be bothered with school. Looking back, that's where I clearly see for the first time that alcohol had complete control on me. I continued to drink heavily and more heavily for years. I met a girl. We fell in love. We talked about getting married a lot, and we were really serious. All I had to do was ask her, and I was going to in a few months. But her one rule was that I couldn't drink at all. She came from an alcoholic family and had seen my horrible drunk side and said no. And I was fine with that. I was already sober for a few months. I thought she was the love of my life, my high school sweetheart. We were crazy about each other. I had everything I'd ever wanted, but even that couldn't keep me sober. I ended up drinking, got arrested, and she broke up with me. After that, I got into that church community, which he's told me about before. But he couldn't even stay sober for very long there. He tried his hardest. In 2011, he moved to Texas to help his mom move. Okay, so then this is the next chapter in this story. In 2011, I moved to Texas to help my mom out, who moved in 2008. She's disabled now and needed the help. But eventually my drinking took control there too. When I moved to Texas, after a while it got worse. A lot worse. I never went to jail or hurt anyone physically or anything like that. But I'm a very mean and angry drunk. Drank more than ever before. My life was completely in pieces. I had literally become something I hated. I hated waking up every day just because of that. But by the grace of God alone, I walked into AA one day, and I've been sober ever since. I have a couple of relapses, but I've worked really hard with my sponsor on everything, and he and others have told me that relapse is part of the recovery. The most important thing is you came back, and right away. So even with a couple of relapses, I've been sober for over a year now. Truly, the desire to drink has been completely removed. The very thought of drinking really never even crosses my mind. And if it does, it disgusts me and I have no appeal. But only by God's grace alone do I stand. It's like I just don't want all that anymore. That part of my life is over and done with. That's nothing I want or who I am anymore. I have changed a lot in a lot of ways. I don't even know if you'd recognize me anymore. That person you last saw doesn't exist anymore. I'm just going to chime in real quick. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, anyone who is in Christ is a new creation. The old has passed away." And this is exactly what he's saying here. That old him does not exist anymore. Okay, I'm going to continue. Which is a great thing. I was horrible in a lot of ways. Honestly, I was a huge loser who refused to grow up and be a man. I did a lot of damage and hurt a lot of people along the way due to my drinking and other things over the last 10 years. My health was in horrible shape. My liver was starting to become very sick. I ended up weighing 410 plus pounds. I was drinking 1.75 liters of whiskey every day or every other day. Sober up long enough to drive to the liquor store. Ate 3,000 plus calories a day. Smoked almost 2 packs a day. There was literally, nothing left in my life. I had destroyed it all. I had one foot in the grave and the other heading towards jail if I didn't get it together. Imagine that imagery. 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot in jail. And just continue to hear this story. It is so moving. But over a year ago, when I got sober, I decided to lose weight. I worked really hard and ate a very strict diet and lost over 120 pounds in under a full year. A lot of great things happened in my life, like quitting smoking and working full time again. Lots of other great things over the last year or so since getting sober. When God gave me a way out, to have sobriety like never before, sobriety that would last, that was a real life miracle. His grace poured out for me once again, and it got even better. God carried me to AA, and it saved my life. Never have I experienced sobriety like this. It has never felt anything like this before. It's just absolute, complete freedom. Freedom from something that chained me down and controlled every aspect of my life. I have tried and failed countless times to be sober. I've begged and even cursed God to help me. Every time I tried to get sober, I would ask for his help and believed he would help, but I still felt it was ultimately all on me to get and stay sober. But that's where I was wrong. I learned I was taking complete responsibility for my sobriety. I never knew that I could not only ask for his help, but that I could put my sobriety completely in his hands. That he alone would keep me sober and nothing else. That it wasn't all on me anymore. That wasn't all my responsibility, for I was powerless over my addiction and my life had become unmanageable. And that only God could keep me sober, but I had to trust him and still do my part. Once I learned that I could do that, I threw it at God. I had no idea I could do that. It was amazing. Like a tremendous weight had been not only been lifted off my shoulders, but off my mind, my heart, and soul. I met the most amazing, beautiful, smart, fun girl in the world. She's incredible. She makes me want to be better in every way. She encourages me, motivates me, and inspires me so much. She really had a huge part in all the great things over the last year, especially the weight. She's indescribable. She's really changed my life. She brought happiness and hope back into my life. We just have a connection and bond like nothing I've ever experienced. I thought I knew about being in love, but man, was I wrong. I didn't know the half of it. She's shown me that. It's crazy. I truly can't wait to marry this girl and be a stepfather to her kids and be a family. That's what I want most now. To have a family, to be the man she and the kids need and deserve. She has helped me to decide to lose weight and do other great things. She encourages me so much. If that story doesn't move you or give you goosebumps at all, check your pulse. Because mine's racing. That is a true testimony of giving it all to God and laying it down at his feet, laying all our troubles, all our worries, all our stresses at the cross. Because Jesus has already taken all our penalty, all our worry, all our doubt, all our shame. I pray for him constantly now, and just to know that this decision he's made and this advancements he's made, and know that he's got God in the center. I'm just so pleased to hear that. And again, I pray that you all take something out of that story. Not all of you are struggling with alcohol. Some people struggle with other things. But know that you can give it all to him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. It's one of my favorite verses. Let go of your plans and grab hold of God's hand. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just one testimony. I've kind of given you mine as well. But I'm telling you right now that God is still in the business of changing lives, changing hearts. God so loved the world that he gave his only son for you. Just believe. You heard his story. He couldn't have done this on his own. He tried and tried and tried and failed. But when he trusted in the Lord, God came through in a big, big way. And he can do the same for you. You think your life has fallen to pieces, but the pieces are just coming together. So I thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of July. And the next time you see me, I'll show my bling, we'll show my wedding band off. Deal? Well, I'm Tony Taylor, and that story is full of motivation, inspiration, and thank you for watching, and thank you to my friend for sharing that story with me. And now I get to share it with the world. I love you guys. God bless.